Hello everyone, my name is Why So Serious, or Why So for short. I saw a lot of reviews of Diablo 4 and wanted to put my 2 cents in from the perspective of what I guess can be called a consistent casual player. And that I don't play a ton, but I play as often as I can. I have a spouse, a toddler, a hectic job, so I only manage to get in a few hours a day, usually around 1:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., which is crackhead hours I know, don't judge me, and thank God for Red Bull. I play softcore because hardcore is freaking terrifying. I'm not great at this game by any stretch of the imagination, but do generally and genuinely enjoy it. I've played a ton of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, and I think this is a wonderful continuation to the franchise. I've played each class to 50, past the first capstone dungeon thing. I know many YouTubers have said that this game was easy, but it was actually pretty challenging for me. Maybe I'm terrible at video games, but I just did find it a little bit of a struggle, especially on the druid, which I found was really cumbersome. This season I started on a Necro and switched to Rogue. I currently run a hybrid setup, twisting blades along with puncture shot with shadow imbuement. I know it's not the best setup in the world, but it works for me. It lets me clear dungeons quickly, and it does let me clear the big giant open fields. So I'm going to go into a few of the things I loved, a few of the things I didn't really like, and a few things I'd like to see changed. Again though, this is coming from someone who can only manage to play a couple hours a day, so more than a typical casual player, but far less than someone who is grinding this game 22 hours a day sometimes. Before I begin, please smash the like button or subscribe button. I'm actually just kidding, I don't really care about that stuff. I'll be shocked if I get more than 10 views on this thing. If you're interested in making a donation, I'll put a link to St. Jude's Cancer Research below. I don't care about the money, and this is going directly to them. This is my first video ever, so don't be too mean in the comments if you do leave a comment. If by some miracle you'd like a build guide or future videos, please let me know. I'd be happy to post them. What do I love about this game? Blizzard games in general are well polished. They look great, and this is no different. Blizzard also consistently improves their games. Hell, Diablo 2, a 2-decade-old game, is still getting reviews and still getting updates. They've recently added the Thunder Charms, which are great for most players. The changes may not always be the best, but they are constantly adding to the game. They finally addressed a turbo hard issue recently, which should get rid of a lot of the botters. The story is quite enjoyable. Sure, it's a bit predictable and there's a lot of chore tasks, but it's all in fun, especially if you like camels for some reason. There's obviously room for improvement, like an auto skip the bullshit would be awesome, but no game is perfect. There is a lot to do. Some people may call that bloated, but I find that fun. Diablo 2 ended up having a few things to do. Cows, Mephisto and Chaos, Ubers, and a few others that I'm sure I'd get yelled at by Mr. Llama for missing, even though I know he'll never see this. But the point remains, there's only a couple things to do in that game. Diablo 3 was pretty much the same as well. You race to one from 1 to 70 in a 6 or 7 hour session, probably a lot quicker towards the end of towards the newer seasons. Then you would just run a few bounties until you got the few items you actually needed from them, and then you would just smash rifts and griffs endlessly, boosting up your Paragon as high as you can, and towards the end of the season, you'd push for the leaderboards. I like that there is a lot to do here. I recognize that this is likely due to the fact that the game is new, so we really haven't figured it all out yet, but it is enjoyable to explore all of the different things, and I'm excited that new things are constantly being added to the game. The aspect system I think is a great starting point. There's a lot of room for improvement, like some new suggestions have been coming out recently, and the sky's the limit. They could introduce rune words, new legendary items, potions that heal your resource, etc., etc. The game is in its infancy, and it's already starting to improve. The combat feels fun and fluid. Some things, of course, don't make much sense, and they have been pointed out online by other streamers that are much smarter than me and other content creators. Those are great things to have on a wish list for the future, such as more damage from the charging monsters when they're farther away, which logically makes sense. I find the game simple enough to understand, yet it has the ability to get complex with the Paragon system. Remember, this is coming from a very casual player playing at crackhead hours in between dealing with my child's temper tantrum of me not letting him ever see his sister. He does not have a sister. He's throwing a fit because I'm not bringing him to visit his imaginary friend. These are the joys of parenthood, folks. Annoyances. I think I upgraded to the Super Battle Pass thing because I misclicked something. I don't have the energy to fight or deal with that. But that did really feel unfair. One misclick that's almost guaranteed to happen, and then boom, you pay for an upgrade to cosmetics. I don't give a shit about cosmetics. I know this has been recently fixed, as of yesterday, I believe, which is part of the point. The team is responsive to the community in a lot of respects, or in most respects. I'm sure they watch all of Rax's videos, all of Asmongold's videos, etc., etc. Some dungeons and tasks felt like, well, chores. I don't feel like finding every last monster, or picking up one thing at a time to a pedestal, when logically there's no reason why my character that can hold 12 swords at a time can't pick up 2 doodads at a time. Diablo 2 had amazing randomly generated dungeons, which I really miss, but you would think that a static dungeon would flow better and not take you in a giant endless circle. I never got into World of Warcraft because it felt like it was just too slow, with too much walking. Diablo 4 has that feel sometimes. Not as bad as World of Warcraft, but it does generally have that feel, especially since movement skills are hard to come by. Teleport, for example, has a cooldown, as does most skills like that. I can't zip through a dungeon like I used to on my dashing strike monk, or fly around with teleport jumping to Mephisto runs in minutes. Walking is boring in real life. It's infinitely more boring in video games. Maybe a way to pin a location to teleport back to, not in town but within a dungeon or something. So if you walk the wrong way down a corridor, you could just teleport back to where you initially were. Repetition is fun. I've done too many Mephisto and Chaos runs to count. I've done thousands of Speed GR 110s, and I've had a blast doing it. Backtracking to pick up a boring thing is freaking boring. Why is it so hard to get power level to at least like 50-ish? What is the harm? Leveling is fun now because it's new, but in 5 seasons it's going to become a pain in the ass chore that nobody wants to do. Dying while immobilized is not fun. I'm a dumbass in video games. If there's 4 gold near something that's about to explode, hell yeah, I'm going to go and try to grab it, for no apparent reason, and then I'll die, but that's my bad, my idiocy. Getting frozen, then trapped, then crazy glued, then trapped again, and then killed is infuriating. Needing to have an escape skill on your bar is really just well annoying. It's a wasted slot. I want to use them to avoid incoming damage, not to get out of being randomly stuck and frozen. Finally, and most significantly, how in the hell do I find a group? Diablo 2 was easy. You jump into a game and boom, you have a group. Sure, there were a ton of bots, or people magic finding, or people jumping into your group so you could have the player 8 count, but generally it was easy to find a group. Trading is another story that I'm not going to get into. That was a mess. Diablo 3 was relatively easy as well. You could always join a random group game, or join the numerous communities out there. LFPL, looking for power level. Done, you have 12 invites to get power leveled. Playing in groups though feels like a bunch of infants playing. They're playing next to each other, but not really with each other. They're just kind of doing their own thing. The benefits of running with a barbarian is to use their shouts and to use them to soak up damage. Now it seems like they basically just shout and go do their own thing, run their own path. It takes the group play out of a group play online forced game. I have no idea how to find the group. I'm sure there's some Discord channels for it to make it easier, but I don't have the time or patience to do that. It should be easy. So finally, I'd like to come back to something I love about Blizzard games. It's the community itself. There are always going to be some toxic people out there, as I'm sure you see online with Twitter or whatever. Unfortunately, the toxic people are usually the loudest ones, but the vast majority of gamers that I've come across have been absolutely amazing people to get to know. People I've met online years ago are the first ones to donate to my yearly charity walk that I post about on the forums, and I want to thank Riker for always giving me shoutouts on his Twitter page. We message each other privately to check in, to make sure we're all doing okay. That is what I love about these games, the community, the friendship, and feeling like your gaming friends are your actual family. That is missing here. I'm sure it will come back. I would just ask you all to hang in there while it does. If you want to sit out the seasons like some streamers are doing, totally fine. Play what you enjoy. Please keep giving your suggestions though. Rax made some great points about this game, as I'm sure the super streamers like Asmongold, Mr. Llama, etc., have done as well. Play what makes you happy. That's the point of video games. But hang in there. Keep politely giving suggestions. There's a clear difference between bashing a game for not having a way to find a party and suggesting to the development team to help us make party finding easier. Albeit the former will likely get you more clicks and content. Anywho, that's all I got for now. I'll leave you with this. You are special and you are awesome. Don't ever forget that. Take care of yourselves and each other, folks. See ya.